Welcome to our first episode of 2021. I'm playing with my Christmas present here. See, now you can actually see me. I'm no longer this shadow. So I'm playing.
That's unfortunate.
Very funny. Glad your sense of humor joined us in 2020.
Yeah, I have my Christmas present too.
Hey, funny story. I heard the polar vortex is coming soon. And it said there's a polar vortex forming and it could split in half, and half of it go over the northern US and the other half over northern Europe. And they said that it's so bad that it could impact weather for months.
Oh. Can you send me your sources on this?
It was the Washington Post.
Can you send me your sources on this?
I don't really want to deal with a polar vortex. That's not the best thing right now.
And the funny thing is the story even referenced Siberia from, 2013, 2014, whatever year that was. You remember that year? It got so cold at night, the wind chill got down into minus 35, minus 40, and I could hear the beams in our attic popping.
Was that the year they bribed us to go into our day job with pizza?
Yes, and I still didn't.
Okay.
I have a problem.
Priorities.
So anyway, our guest should look familiar because this is now his third time back with us, but he had done a 10 minutes with, so we figured we'd bring him back as our first guest of 2021. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think you've been our first guest of the year now. This will be the third year, I think, that you've been our first guest of the year. If I remember correctly.
Is that a record?
Well, yes, of course.
Are we giving out awards?
We always seem to fall back on bringing Mark back in January every year. So please welcome the owner operator of of Buckeye Muscle Media and the author of It's Game Time, Folks: The Quest for 30, how one man managed to get to all 30 ballparks in one season, Mark Darden.
DJ, just so you know, your ring light reflected.
Whatever. So, and for make people jealous, my copy's autographed.
At least that's what we've told you, since you can't read.
Thanks. Mark, welcome back. It's always great to have you on the show, even though the first time we had you, you made me sing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no singing this episode.
Yeah, we're done with the singing.
This time around. But yeah, it's good to be back.
So, Mark, you're obviously an avid traveler, and these last 9 months have probably been especially rough on you, who, somebody who's probably spends more time traveling than they do at home. I mean, what's it been like for you the last 9-10 months now?
Well, luckily for me, since I'm considered an essential worker, my job hasn't gone belly up. So for the last 9 months, I've just been working and just saving a lot of money.
Hey, that's definitely a good thing. I mean, even with saving money, referencing back to the book, it still amazes me looking through at the end of the book and you budget out how much you spend on everything, how you manage to do this for such a reasonable price. But go buy the book. It's on Amazon. There you go. There's your free publicity for the day.
Yeah, it's funny you brought it up because I had one of my ex-coworkers. He ended up buying a book as well.
And I remember that you've got it into a bookstore in the Columbus area. I mean, you're doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, so there's a bookstore in Columbus called the Book Loft, German Village, and it's like the world's biggest bookstore, like one of the best bookstores in the world. And there's 30 some odd rooms just full of books. And I forgot which room it was, but it's a room full of sports books or books about sports, and it's in that room.
That's awesome.
What's that bookstore called again?
The Book Loft, German Village. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place if you ever come down to Columbus. It's just right outside of downtown on 3rd Street.
I know, Kate, you do get to Ohio periodically, or I guess you used to get to Ohio periodically. Yeah.
My boyfriend's grandma lives in Columbus.
That's right. I knew that.
Yeah, she may be familiar with the store. It's a pretty good place to check out if you're ever in Columbus.
I think the next time you get to Columbus, you are going to have to do a collaboration that doesn't involve making fun of me.
I don't know if that's possible.
I know. So let's jump right into it. Mark, you started your Buckeye Muscle Media. You've done an incredible feat of visiting 30 ballparks in one season. So what inspired you to start that site?
To start the site, I'm just a big fan of travel, period. And when I would go on a trip, I would like write like a list of all the stuff I did and how much money I spent. And one of my friends, he just suggested like, hey, you should start a website. So back in 2017, I started a website. And then, yeah, it'll be 4 years in February, actually, that the site's been up.
See, and the best part about I love with books is when they put pictures in the middle. And so you've got like, here's you like, you're visiting Marlins Man. Everyone knows Marlins Man who's been on baseball. I mean, it's just
he was hard to get a picture with because I tried to see him. I think two earlier times during that game, but he was always away. And then like right when the game was over, I was able to get a picture with him.
I mean, it still amazes me. I mean, you sent me the book. I read it in like one weekend, and I'm just like, how did you do that? It's just amazing.
Yeah, lots of like getting a credit card and being able to work at a job where I could get weekdays off. Because most of the games that I went to were during the week, not the weekends.
That definitely saves you money for sure.
Mm-hmm. And luckily, I live in Columbus, so I'm not too far from a lot of the cities that have a baseball team, so that made it a little easier as well.
So, Kate?
So I forgot what question we're going with. Number 2?
Yes, what would a new reader...
Oh, what would a new reader learn on your website?
When it comes to following my website, you'll see some of the stuff that I go to. Like, let's say if there was WWE here in Columbus, I'll like write about that, and I'll break down the costs and break down my experience at the event. And that's pretty much what my website is all about. It's just me talking about my adventures and breaking down the costs because people love to talk about money and see how much things cost nowadays.
I'm gonna let you do number 3 too, Kate. I'm
number 3. It's been so long. It's been like since last year we've done this episode. So I think number 3 is what's a piece of advice that you would give a new blogger or traveler? Let's change it up. What would you give a piece of advice to a new traveler?
To a new traveler, just you just got to take a risk and just go out there and travel. Like a lot of my most of the time I travel by myself, so it's a little nerve-wracking to be by yourself at times, but it also shows you like, hey, I can do this. I can do stuff on my own, and you can meet new people, you can see new places, experience new food. So that's one piece of advice I would give to someone.
And if I remember right too, with you traveling, I want to say it was Oakland, and you had was it Oakland where you had a near incident with somebody after the game?
No, Oakland, I just left the game. That was during the daytime.
Where was it? There was one where you had somebody came. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, at
No, you know what? You're right. Now I remember because that was at Burger
I know
King.
your book better than you do.
Yeah, like, that was so long ago that I'm trying to remember all the details. But that was after the game. I had went back to the hostel, and then I think I went to Burger King later.
Burger King, yeah.
Yeah, now I remember.
Man thought you cut in front of him in line and wanted to fight you.
Yeah, he wanted to fight me, but I was just like, not today. Not in the mood for that.
You know what? I'll meet you here tomorrow, same time.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience.
Kate, has anybody tried to pick a fight with you at Burger King?
Not at Burger King, but lately I've been trying to tell my boyfriend I could beat him up. It's not looking too good for me.
I mean, I know on more than one occasion you tried to pick fights at Wendy's.
Yes, Wendy's is a whole nother story. And don't get me started on McDonald's.
Oh, we're starting to, what year is it? 2021, the same way we ended 2020. So,
Yeah.
Mark, let's, where are we going to find your site, your YouTube channel? Tell us about that and your social media.
When it comes to my website, it's buckeyemuscle.com, and also all of my social media is Buckeye Muscle, YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter. Those are all the same. Also, when it comes to my book, you can get it on Amazon, or you can order it from my website, buckeyemuscle.com/shop.
I did see today you're interacting with Ed De La Fuente, one of our past guests on the show. So that's awesome. Yeah, Ed, we were mentioning, actually, your name got brought up during our show with Ed a few weeks ago. So I'm glad that you two started interacting. So that's really cool.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool dude. Like a lot of the stuff he posts on Instagram, it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like the drawings with the baseball parks. Yeah, I think he had a post like that where he drew like so it has a graph paper where he drew like different ballparks. And it was kind of cool. Like, hey, wait a minute, that looks like Fenway Park, or that looks like Progressive Field. So it was pretty cool looking at that.
And yeah, and he sketched those when he was like in middle school, and he just happened to find them. I don't have anything left over from middle school, period, let alone something cool like that. So actually, Mark, you'll appreciate this too. I was over the holidays, I was cleaning up and digging through some of my old boxes, and I found right before I moved out of Indiana, the last thing I did before I moved out of Indiana was I went to the grand opening of Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and so I got to walk around there on the field before it opened, and I haven't been back since. And that was August 16th, 2008. So
it's crazy that stadium has been open for 12 years.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It don't seem like it, because it seems like a brand new stadium, but 12 years, like in some cases, that could be a long time for a stadium.
I mean, it's also too though, like you look at Cleveland, we'll say the Cleveland baseball team now, since they're in, I guess, transition with names. I mean, Progressive Field's been around for almost 30 years now.
Yeah, it opened up in 1994, I think.
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
It's so hard to believe looking back on that now.
I wonder what the oldest stadium is. Fenway?
Yes, baseball. Yeah, it's in the U.S. as far as professional stadiums go. Yeah, Fenway.
Okay.
Fenway, and then I believe Wrigley Field would be next. Now, if you want to go worldwide, there's some stadiums that have been hanging around since.
Yeah, the Coliseum.
Well.
Yeah, those are like thousands of years old.
That are still in use today for its original purpose.
Oh, okay.
There's some, there's some stadiums in Europe that were 1870s that are still standing today.
Yeah, like some of the soccer teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. It's but here in the U.S., you go down to Atlanta, and the Braves in the last 30 years have been in 3 stadiums. Yeah.
Luckily, with their last stadium, Turner Field, they didn't just tear it down. They repurposed it for, I think it was Georgia State's football team.
That's correct.
So it's cool to get some use out of it, but at the same time, it was only about 20 years old when they moved out.
That was kind of a weird thing, too. That stadium was just too big. Like, they weren't bringing in the crowd size to fill the place, I think. But, I mean, Cobb County.
Yeah, for what I heard about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for what I heard about that one was most of the fans live in northern Atlanta, and they didn't necessarily like coming down to the south side of Atlanta because at the time it was kind of a bad neighborhood. So that was just justification for being up in northern Atlanta.
Nightmare coming through Atlanta.
Yeah, and the traffic sucks.
Yep. So now they're up in Cobb County. Kate's been there. She tried to break into the place a few years ago.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how they designed that. So it wasn't just the stadium; they also built like a little village around it.
Right.
And I kind of see that's kind of like the trend with newer sports venues. It's not just the stadium; it's like a little neighborhood around it.
If if you're not packing it in right into the middle of the downtown, turn it into another Wrigleyville.
So
I think
just
the people are doing it themselves. Oh, sorry.
Just so everyone's aware, Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia is the oldest continuously operating sports arena in the world.
It's a very big one too.
That's a big place.
Yeah,
Very good.
1854 is when it
Wow.
opened.
Do you have a? Do they seat over 100,000 there, or is it?
Yes.
What's the number? The latest number?
Oh, it just says one of the largest with a capacity over 100,000. And then Churchill Downs is second oldest with 1875.
I wouldn't even have thought of that.
I wouldn't even have thought about that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Another location that's relatively close to you. But I think we better wrap this up. Mark's he's on his lunch break and joined us. As you can see, he's in his car, so we better wrap this up. And my children are being monsters.
Pterodactyls.
Yeah, no, you're straight up monsters. So I better get down there before I get my head ripped off. So, Mark, thanks again. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Again,
Thanks for having me.
It's game time, folks. Get it on BuckeyeMuscle.com or on Amazon. So it's a good read. Oh, I guess I should wrap it up. Or Kate, do you want to start 2021 and wrap it up for once?
No, I'm good. I don't know our passwords. I don't know our social media handles. We're doing great this year.
So we might post something to TikTok this year. Maybe. At Stadium Scene on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. At Stadium_Scene on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Join the network. We had 3 people join us today. That's awesome. So we're really excited about that. And we're going to be doing a lot of great things in 2021. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.